Quick question. Are you looking for minority business loans in Phoenix? Well, meet Quentin. Quentin owns a small pharmaceutical lab in Phoenix. Quentin started his own lab last summer after his previous employer, Mr. Jansen, announced that he was moving the company to Atlanta. Quentin, sad, hurt, and frustrated, wrestled for days over the news Mr. Jansen had just delivered. Then, all of a sudden, Quentin had a genuine aha moment. He decided that he would take over Mr. Jansen's lease on his pharmaceutical lab and start his own lab and keep all of the present staff in place who didn't want to move to Atlanta with the old lab. And Quentin did just that. 45 days later, Quentin had started his own lab at the same location as his former employer, and Mr. Jansen moved the former lab to Atlanta just like he said. But Quentin had used all of his savings to start the new lab, so when he needed money to make improvements, hire more staff, and do some much needed marketing, he found himself coming up short. So Quentin confidently strolled down to his local bank, who he had been doing business with since his college days, to apply for a small business loan. But 90 days and a stack of paperwork later, Quentin received his shiny bright red denial letter in the mail. Now, for the last 90 days, while waiting on the bank to come through with his business loan, Quentin had been using his credit cards to keep the business afloat. So now Quentin is here with a great business, but no money and a stack of maxed out credit cards. And now his credit score has even dropped tremendously because of the maxed out credit cards and excessive personal debt he'd been accumulating while trying to keep his new business alive. Luckily, one of Quentin's friends, Eric, told him he could go to fundanyloan.com and get minority business loans in Phoenix in 3 to 5 business days. All he needed was a 561 credit score and be grossing at least $17,000 per month in revenue. So later that night, after he closed down the lab, he did just that. He logged on to fundanyloan.com and completed a quick funding request form and indicated that he was interested in minority business loans in Phoenix for his new lab. One day later, he was emailed 2 funding offers. He accepted the terms of the first offer for a working capital loan, and 3 business days later, he received $219,000 wired directly into his business account. He didn't even have to submit tax returns or financials. And at this point, he had only had a 564 credit score when he was approved for funding. So now Quentin is super happy. He got the funds he needed to save his lab and pay off his debt. His lab is now thriving, and he's even made a breakthrough discovery for a new drug that will help millions and millions of people that are struggling with diabetes. And of course, now he lets everyone he meets know that it's true. They can get minority business loans in Phoenix at fundanyloan.com without perfect credit, without a ton of paperwork, and without the hassle. So be smart like Quentin and head over to fundanyloan.com for minority business loans in Phoenix. You'll be so glad you did.